Hello. Hello, today we will solve this question maximum absolute sum of any subarray Leetcode 1749. This is the daily question today. So we are given an integer array nums and we have to make different subarrays so we can get the maximum sum of a subarray as well as the minimum sum of the subarray, and then we have to take absolute of the minimum to make it positive, and then we have to take the maximum of those two integers. So for this we will use cadence algorithm. So for finding the maximum sum, we will start iterating the array, and whenever our current sum becomes negative, we will update our current sum back to 0. So why we are updating our current sum back to 0 according to cadence algorithm? That is because, for example, if we take an empty subarray, there is a chance that if we take an empty subarray, our sum will be 0. And for example, we are given with an array with only negative elements -3, -2. So what will be the maximum subarray sum? In this case, you might say it can be -2 or -3 or -5, but actually the highest subarray sum will be 0, which will be when we won't take any element from these two elements, and it will be an empty subarray out of this array. So this is the same concept we will implement here. So first we will iterate our array. So when we are at 1, we will add this to our current sum, and our maximum sum will be 0 initially. So our current sum is greater than the maximum sum, so we will update our maximum sum to 1. Then we will move to -3. When we move to -3, our current sum will become -2, but -2 current sum is of no use, just like how I talked about here, because instead of taking a negative sum, we can take an empty subarray. So we will update our current sum back to 0, and then we will move forward to 2. So 2 is a positive number, so we will update our current sum to 2, and it is greater than the maximum sum, so the maximum sum will also get updated to 2. Then we'll move to 3. The current sum will become 5, and the maximum sum will get updated because our current sum is greater than the maximum sum, which was 2. Now we'll move to -4. Our current sum will become 1, which is smaller than the maximum sum. So maximum sum will not be updated in this case. So our maximum sum is 5, which is this subarray. Similarly, we will find the minimum sum. So I will cut this and make it minimum sum. So we will do the reverse of what we did here. So our current sum will be again 0, our minimum sum will be 0. When we start iterating the array again, our current sum will become 1, and we will do the reverse of what we did previously. So current sum is greater than, so earlier what we did was, if current sum was greater than the max sum, we were updating max sum, but here we won't update min sum because um, obviously the minimum sum is 0 in this case and not 1, so we won't update minimum sum. So we will move forward. We get -3, so our current sum will get updated to -2. Sorry, previously what we did, when current sum became negative, we were updating it to 0. In case of calculating minimum sum, if we get a positive number, then we will update our sum back to 0. So this is the inverse of the logic that we did previously. So when we move to -3, our current sum will become -3, which is acceptable in this case, and our minimum sum will become -3. Now we'll move to 2. Our current sum will become -1, and our minimum sum will not be updated in this case. Now we'll move to 3. Our current sum will become a positive integer, which we don't want. So we'll update it back to 0. When we'll move to minus 4, our current sum becomes minus 4, which is smaller than the minimum sum. So our minimum sum will get updated to minus 4. Now, according to the question, we have to take the absolute of both the sums. So absolute of the previous sum was 5, but absolute of this sum minus 4 will be 4. And after this we have to take the maximum absolute sum. So max ab sum is maximum of min sum and max sum. Because min sum is positive, so we are taking absolute value of min sum. So this is the logic, and now we'll implement it in coding part. So I will take C sum, and I will take max sum and a min sum. In the first iteration I will calculate max sum, and in the second iteration I will calculate min sum. So C sum plus equals to nums of I, and max sum equal to math dot max of max sum comma C sum. And if our C sum becomes negative, we'll update it back to 0, because there is no need of taking that subarray. We can take an empty subarray instead of taking a negative number in our maximum sum subarray. Now we'll do the same, do the inverse for calculating the min sum. So this was for max sum, this we are doing for min sum. We'll make it back to 0, make the C sum back to 0. C sum plus equals to nums of I, and the inverse of this. If C sum becomes positive, then we are updating it back to 0. Min sum equal to math dot min of min sum comma C sum. And at last we will take the maximum of both these values, and I'll take the absolute value of the min sum because it can be negative. So return math dot max of math dot abs of min sum versus max sum. So I hope you understand this solution. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.